Alright, hey, welcome family. Welcome back to ServantKing TV. We're here at the Owner's Manual Podcast. We're back with another special guest, Mr. Reese The Poet, also known as a friend of the neighborhood. And I know y'all gonna say every episode you say it's a special guest. And that's because every episode I feel like we got a special guest. If I reach out to you, as I did this brother, it's because I feel like they got something special on them. God has placed them here for a special reason, and they're working in their purpose. They're actually doing what it is God has called them to do. So, without further ado, man, what's going on?
Man, you know what? I can't complain. Another beautiful day. What's going on, everybody? Chilling. You know, we're around here. I tell people all the time, I'm like standing on the line of the edge between extreme relaxation and revolution. You know what I mean?
Right,
so,
yeah. Okay.
You know, but yeah, you know, running around with these kids and just really trying to just start the fire. And that's pretty much my life.
I got you. So, well, let's get in there. Let's kind of start from the beginning. So, where you from?
So I'm a bit of a nomad of sort.
Okay.
So I grew up a good portion of my life in Detroit. So you know I'm from Detroit, but but I was born in Japan.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was born in Japan.
Okay.
Then ended up in North Carolina. Then ended up in Detroit. And then left Detroit, went to Florida.
Okay.
Left Florida. You know, so. But yeah, I mean, my home, my claim, Detroit is Detroit. You know. I am a Lions and Pistons fan, even though.
By heart,
Hey, Pistons beat the Lakers.
Right,
so I'm okay with that.
all right. Yeah. Mother, raised by your mother? Father?
Yeah. So, yeah, I was with my, mother, and then at some point there was a guardianship change, and I ended up with my grandparents for a while. And then, I told my grandparents, I said, look, as soon as I'm old enough, I'm gonna go live with my mother.
Right.
And I did. 14, I transitioned out of there, met up with Mom Dukes, and we went down there and we did our thing.
Right. Man, so I really want to get into why I reached out to you, and I remember it was a lot going on last year, of course. With the election, we had a lot of racial tension, as people call it. A lot of things that was going on in the media. But what I liked the most was every post you had a positive message. Like you was trying to, it was like, we got to keep the peace, right? And it's crazy because we was in a time where, especially people of our color, we were ready to
rise up and
rise up. Yeah, we were ready to take something by force, but you, I'm not gonna say you wasn't. You weren't a fan of that. You were trying to teach love. I remember one post you talked about was love and how important it is for us, especially as believers, to even understand that we should be praying for the president. We should be praying for that administration. Right. Man, tell me what kind of pushback you got from that, or did you?
Well, I mean, so if I got, a buddy of mine did tell me a while ago. I posted something similar to that, and one of my guys was like, "Hey man, now I'm gonna tell you, bro, ain't nobody saying it to you,
right?
But, it's some folks that's they feeling like, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to please everybody,
right? Very true.
But I think that regardless, it's an audience of one. So what I say is what I believe God is telling me to say. So, I mean, you're gonna get pushback because anytime anybody pushes back, if anytime anyone pushes back against a message of positivity, then it speaks more to them. It speaks more to them than it does to what I'm saying. If I tell you that you should love your enemies, and you say, "What? Man, I ain't you tripping?" Okay, well then you're telling Jesus that he tripping. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those kind of situations. And I mean, at the end of the day, I get it. Emotions running high, I get it. It's much easier said than done.
Right, very.
You know what I mean? It's when you're in the face of something that you believe is absolutely coming against you. Right. When your back is against the wall, when you feel like your back is against the wall, when you feel like when you feel like things are not in your favor, it is natural for you to be, it's that fight or flight. Like, it's natural for you to want to fight, want to rise up when you're seeing these certain images, and I think the media plays a huge role. I mean, the media plays a huge role. 98%
of what you see or they portraying to you.
Man, look, yeah. And they do that on purpose. Right. I mean, the whole purpose is, there's a famous quote that says, he who controls the media controls the masses.
Controls the masses.
Absolutely. And so I've always been one of them people who I'm not particularly emotional.
Right.
And I will often, and sometimes it could be to my detriment, as people say, because they feel like, some will feel like I'm not
too logical sometimes.
Right. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, there has to be that line in the sand. I can't, if we operate on emotion constantly. Right. And my mother used to tell me this growing up. She says, emotions cloud your judgment. And frustration makes you lose focus. And I mean, I made the decision that I'm not going to concern myself with things I can't control. And that which I can't control is of no concern.
Right. I like that. I'm glad you spoke to that, because that's something that I think especially young men should be learning as they come up. So before I dig more into a lot of things you speak to, kind of tell the people that don't know what it is that you do, as far as your involvement in the community. Right. You refer to yourself as a friend of the neighborhood. Right. Which I know there's a basis and a meaning behind that. So kind of speak to what it is that you do.
Okay. Well, as most of my posts start, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your friendly neighborhood, Mr. Reese. But essentially, as far as a career path, what I do right now is I travel to elementary, middle, and high schools, and I teach life skills. The program they once called Project SOS, and so essentially it's like DARE on crack, no pun intended. You know what I mean? It's like DARE plus. So we teach more than just drugs. We teach about healthy relationships, teach about goal setting. We do the inspirational side of things. My big thing is purpose, is impact, is looking beyond just a career. Looking for change, talking about healthy relationships and teaching them what love is. Not so much about, all right, well, you got your boyfriend, your girlfriend. No, what is love? And so then when you're seeking those things, you look for those qualities, and then you put yourself in a position where you can get something a bit better, But yeah, so I travel and I teach and I speak, and I also have a music side of things. I do some, a positive music kind of movement of sort that is coming down the pipe, and many may know me as Reese the Poet, and I do spoken word poetry. Really through the arts and speaking, my goal is to inspire people and to light the fire that they may light others. And so that's kind of in a nutshell.
So I want to kind of go down step by step. So you say you teach at elementary, middle, and high school.
Yes.
So kind of tell me the approach. Like we were talking when you first came in, your approach when it comes to elementary kids, because I'm pretty sure you have to kind of deliver it different to them than you do the middle or high. So what's kind of your approach in a time like 2020, right? They don't understand the
dynamics of
COVID. They know it's something different, right? So tell me, how do you kind of relay a message of love and peace and things like that?
Well, I think so. Oddly enough, at least in my circles, the kids that I've dealt with, most of them honestly don't care. Right. Like most of them aren't even like, they know they have to wear their mask, but like every time you turn around, they like, whatever. They don't. They're not. They're like, hey, whatever. But I think and the teachers are like, hey, put your mask up, and it's kind of like, okay, and I get it. But I think the way we approach these type of things is I don't necessarily get into the ideas of talking about the details of COVID or the race relations. We don't really talk a lot about that because we have certain curriculums that we teach. We're currently working. We dive into some of those topics, but in a different setting, because you have to be really careful when you're under an organization. You have to be careful, not because there's a certain neutrality that's there, and so you can't really. You're almost in some ways with the school board and things, you're walking on eggs. There's certain things you can and can't say, right. You come in and talk about, hey, bro, this, that, and other. You're like, wait a minute. Sir, wait a minute. That's,
Or they go home and say something to mama.
Right, and they go tell their mother, oh, well, Miss Reese said that.
Right.
And so we have to be very careful with that. But as far as the approach, I really approach them like young fire starters.
Okay.
I don't necessarily. My only approach is maybe it's not as deep se.
Right.
You know, and I'm a little more animated. You know, you're like, you know, now look.
Yeah. They need that.
They do a lot of responses like chants, and you know, we do a lot more chants, a lot more interaction in games, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, though, honestly, I've never been one for baby talk.
Right.
Like, even with little babies, I'm like,
get up, man.
Yeah, hey, I don't know what to tell you. I don't do the, well, you know, but, and I make voices and act characters. But
let me ask you, do you think that the school system, in some sort, I don't want to say a disservice, but do you think that they should amp it up in as far as what we explain to kids at that age, or should there be a balance of, hey, they should only know on this level? Because to me, and I believe every generation said this, right? I'm pretty sure your parents and then my parents and their parents looked at us and said, oh, these kids are something else, right? So when I'm listening to my kids and what they learn and how fast they pick up on certain stuff, I'm like, wow, he or she knows a lot more
than we let on,
think, or than we believe. So do you think that we should keep that level of how we teach them, just kind of on a surface level? Should we go into depth? Should it be a child by child case?
I think that, I mean, first of all, I do believe the kids need real exposure in some aspects. However, I think because they are so exposed to so much, you're caught between almost a rock and a hard place. Right. Because on one hand, you're exposed to all this anyway, so I'm coming to hit you with the realness and like you need to know this, that, and other. The challenge with that is you add to the theft of their innocence.
Right. Yep.
Because they're kids.
Yeah, like sometimes can't even enjoy being children.
Right, they can't enjoy being children because everything. I mean, I hear kids all the time talking about, oh, you know, Trump this and Biden that, and like no concept of what you're like, oh, racist this, racist that, you know, you hear them in their conversations and it's you know, oh, cops and this, that, and like, you're 5. You know what I'm saying? Go be 5. I want you to tell me about dinosaurs and space. Like, I want you to come tell me that you found a rock and there was a bug on it. You know what I mean? That's what I want you to talk to me about as a 5-year-old. You know, but, and I get it, because they're so exposed to stuff, we have this natural, well, we need to come the other way. Or you do the opposite, and they're exposed to so much stuff on this end that you don't tell them anything, and you go to the left and just baby them, and then they can't handle nothing. You know what I mean? And so and
then stuff is hitting them like a
and then and then they don't. Oh my gosh! And all they get is negativity. So if you don't give them realness from a positive and solid standpoint, they're going to be getting thrown left and right by every little thing, or they become desensitized to it all.
Yep.
So you're stuck between this pocket, because our society, we've unfortunately we've fallen so far from basic foundation. We've fallen so far from any set standard of morality or ethics.
Everything's right.
Exactly. It's postmodernism. There is no absolutes. You know, it's hedonism. It's whatever I feel.
My truth.
It's my truth. We live in the my truth society. And, you know, I get it. There's your experience. There's your belief. I mean, and I am not discounting what you have experienced. But at the end of the day, if we don't give solid foundational truth, solid foundational
it's gone.
Well, just foundation in general. Then it's just these kids will get washed away every left, right turn. They won't be able to handle any stress. They can't handle real situations. They think that they can have anything they want, whenever they want, however they want, without doing nothing for it, because you've told them that all you got to do is just show up, and you get it.
Just show up.
And so, you know, and with these kids, and there's no accountability, so they're exposed to all this craziness through the media and music and everything else, so they think they can just go run around here, jump in people's beds or punch people, and it ain't that big of a deal, have no idea the consequence of what's coming with that. And so in that regard, you have to give them the realness and say, look, I'm going to hold you accountable. But you also don't want to overload them and rip them of your childhood. So it's tough. It's a balance,
So it's kind of speak to So making that transition from elementary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you in the middle school. So we're talking about what, 12, 13, maybe even 11.
Yeah.
They're a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Not as old, but a little older, more accepting of information now.
Right.
How was that when you're in front of those kids, right? Now they preteen, they kind of know a little bit.
Yeah.
They think they know a little bit.
Right.
How do you weigh the way you're going to give them information, or that once again maybe an age group? I try to go age group by age group. Or how do you kind of do that?
Well, middle school. I mean, I would say since my specialty is more high school.
Okay.
I think middle school is like I treat it as almost like a prequel.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hit them a little harder, a little deeper, and I'm gonna push them a little bit. I'm gonna challenge them.
Absolutely. Okay.
From a perspective of like, hey, well, you're about to go in high school.
Prep time.
Yeah, like I'm not here to baby you.
Yeah.
I tell all my classes, except for the little ones.
Right.
I tell all my classes, hey, I'm not gonna treat y'all like babies.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it real with y'all.
Right.
And they're like, oh, and they respect that to a point because they want to be treated like adults
anyway. Right.
They think they're grown.
Right,
so
right.
I said, look, I'm not gonna treat you like babies. I'm gonna keep it real with you. You need to understand, blank. And they're like, oh wow. And I think when it comes to the transition, it's more just there's certain analogies that resonate more with middle school than it would elementary. But because I'm not gonna go to a middle school class, I'm like, all right, everybody.
Right.
So.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
I put my hands and my feet together. It's like, you're not going to do that with an 8th grader. They're going to look at you like you're crazy.
Like, what do you got going on?
Right, exactly. Right. So it's more of a matter of just, it's like going from cereal to steak to, a burger to steak or whatever,
So, well, I can only imagine now once you get to high school. So now I think I'm grown. Now I only got a couple more years.
Right.
I get out of school, or I get out of my parents' house, or I know this, or I know that. When it comes to those kids, especially in a time like last year, was it difficult to relay a message to them because they know a lot more, right? Or do you once again, how do you find the balance, and which route do you take when talking to kids of that age?
Well, I think that it's interesting. I think this year has created this divide, this split, where you have, believe it or not, you have a lot of these teenagers that have been emboldened by this year. Like they suddenly have turned into like activists. Right. They're so woke, as they say. Like a lot of these teenagers all of a sudden are like out there getting it, and some of them are doing some really great things. They become more involved in their communities. They're starting to do social media stuff, like they want to help and change the world. And some of them may not know what they're doing, but they become so that fire has been lit in them. And then you have the other ones that have almost gone the other way, where they've completely disconnected and don't even care. They just take whatever's in front of them. So at the end of the day, teenagers are teenagers. So I treat them same way as I treat anybody else. I tell you, I'm not going to treat you as babies. I'm going to keep it real with you. And with them, there's certain analogies and metaphors and stories that I can share that'll be a bit more relatable. The older teenagers are my favorite. The 11 and 12. I mean, I love all my kids.
I got you.
But the 11th and 12th grade ones, they're about to go to college, or they're about to go into the real world. And so I'm able to challenge them from a perspective like, hey, this is about to be over. This is the world that you're about to go into. And so I would be doing you a disservice if I don't come and give you the realness. If I don't hit you in the chest and let you know, hey, don't nobody owe you nothing. You're going to have to get out here and get it. The world is not pretty. But guess what? But here's the thing. The world may not be pretty, but you have the ability to make it beautiful. You see what I'm saying?
Do you run into them not understanding the realness that's coming? Because when I think back to me getting ready to graduate high school, now I just think, I'm going to get my own apartment and I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. Do you kind of run into they really, it's hard for them to understand, but I know it's still important for you to tell them regardless. Because I believe sometimes you can be 25 and 30 and they're going to think back, man, I remember Mr. Reese said this in high school. So do you ever run into that?
All the time. I mean, a lot of them, I remember I had a young man, I'll never forget this. This kid told me, he said, it's brilliant. This kid is brilliant. he comes and tells me, Coach, I know what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I got it figured out. I said, okay, what's your plan? He's 16 at the time. Never forget it. He goes, well, see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work at McDonald's. All right?
Okay.
I got this job at McDonald's. Okay. And I'm going to work my way. I ain't going to college. I don't need to go to college because what I can do is I can work my way up through college. Not through college. I can work my way up through McDonald's.
Okay.
And I'll be a manager.
Right.
Once I get to be a manager, I'm straight. I make my money. I got enough. I got this chain. Look what I got.
Right.
I got enough money. I got this chain. I can get me an apartment. Give me a little car. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you gonna have a girlfriend? You already know.
Right.
I'm like, well, you might want to figure something else out. If you go, hey, well, I'm just saying, like, because if I get to be a manager, killing it. Right. And I'm like, as brilliant as you are, and I am not discounting anybody who works in this food services and none of that stuff. But as brilliant as you are, the world is so much bigger. You could accomplish so much more. And this is the limit of your aspirations and what you
McDonald's.
Right. Exactly. You could own a McDonald's, you know. And I just told him, I said, you know, at the end of the day, you have to decide, you know, who are you gonna be? You know, and you have to not be caught up in what you think the world is, and actually listen to people who have been in the world to be able to give you a perspective. Because you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're gonna do, you don't know nothing about the world. You think you know, but you have no idea. I tell them, I thought I knew. You know what I'm saying? And then I found out the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Still learning to this day.
Every day you learn.
Every day you learn.
Yeah.
Man, how much pressure or how much blame, how much accountability do we put on parents? Right? Because I hear a story like that, right? And at first it's like, man, knucklehead, why would you want to work at McDonald's, But then just his drive to say, well, I don't want to just flip, I don't want to just do fries on the register, I want to move up to manager. So he has some sense of promotion, right? Is necessary for me to have more. How much accountability or how much blame do you put on parents when you speaking to these kids and you can kind of hear the household in them?
Yeah, I think so. I tell people all the time, I say, you know, I've dealt with kids, all kinds of walks of life. You know, the ones that they say are bad kids and lost causes, and I've dealt with kids with records, all that stuff. And at the end of the day, no matter how interesting a kid is, I never look at them. I always look at the parent. Because as soon as I meet the parent, it all makes sense.
Wow.
Everything. I mean, I don't want to. You know, I'm not discounting, because the reality is a lot of these parents, they didn't have parents. I mean, you're dealing with most of these kids. Think about it. You're dealing with most of these kids that are the product of the babies raising babies. You had, you know, in 2000, everybody thought the world was going to end, so they decided to go and, you know what I'm saying, get it in, because the world's over, and then we didn't die. And then all of a sudden, oops, now I'm pregnant.
Now you got to still deal with real life.
Now I'm 15 years old, and I got a kid on the way. I'm 16 years old. You know, a lot of these parents that we deal with, they have children as children. And, I mean, I can tell you how many times I had kids tell me, oh, Coach, I can't come tonight because my mom's going out. She doing this, she doing that. And so I got to take care of my baby, my sisters, and, you know, or when you see, when when I was early in my career, I'll never forget these kids, these two brothers, and we were in summer camp. Mom came to pick them up, and I mean, she is cussing these boys out. I mean, just laying into these kids, and like I'm like, yo, I need to go inside because like legally we're not supposed to like interfere in those situations unless it gets physical or something, you know. And I'm just like, I got to go, man. I'm tripping. Here's the crazy part. She's cussing him out. You know why she cussing him out? Because his shoes got messed up. His shoes are messed up. And she said, you wanted these blankety blank shoes, $200 blank shoes, and blah blah, and then you gonna come mess them up. And I'm thinking in my mind, you sent him to summer camp with $200 shoes on.
So who really dropped the ball?
You see what I'm saying? And oh, by the way, fun fact, the kid was 6.
Oh, okay. See, I'm thinking
you see, that's my point.
Right.
So you got a kid who's 6 years old. You sent a 6-year-old to summer camp with brand new $200 shoes, and then you cuss him out for messing him up. And it's like, I hate to say it, but 90% of what we see is oftentimes a direct result of the home. Right. Everything in society that we've seen starts with the home. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you figure, look in the Bible. The first thing the devil did was break the family unit. Man, let's get
I want to say that because I think it's hard, or I don't know if it's hard, or maybe we don't understand. I know I didn't understand at first, right? I had a single mother, so I didn't understand that like the fabric of family and how much of a necessity it is. Like it doesn't guarantee if you don't grow up with a mother and father that you'll be a failure, right. But your chances of being a successful individual just in society is so much higher.
Yeah, having both, absolutely.
You have both.
And a supportive unit, absolutely.
So when you see the home, it's usually a broken home.
A lot of times it's broken. I mean, every once in a while you'll have it where they actually have a really good home. Right. They're just acting out because they want to be cool, want to be accepted.
And you have that, right? And you people have to understand you have that.
High expectations, all that kind of stuff. They feel like, all their other friends have broken homes, and so they're the one that doesn't.
Right.
And so now they want to act like them because
they look cool.
Right.
That's the message.
Right. You're lame because you're mommy and daddy. You're both at home and you have a good household. Right. Like you're not.
Right.
Ain't
whatever. That crazy how now society can make that look
bad,
uncool.
Well, it's like it's uncool to think, to read.
Yeah.
Education is you're lame if you read. I ask kids all the time, how many of y'all read books? I ain't reading.
And if the ones that do read, they probably not gonna read a hand just on the strength of man, how did you? So tell me how did you get into speaking? What was it in your life, or like what was it that fueled you to say this is something I want to do, like teach kids?
Well, oddly enough, I had no intention of teaching anything my whole life. I was always into music. Okay. At 11 years old, I decided I'm gonna be a musician, for the rest of my life. Right. And I was doing music, and it really, I've been talking though. I've been running my mouth forever. Okay. Even when I was a kid, anybody who knows me, anybody who knows me, I was that kid. Right. I was always talking about something. Right. You can give me this water bottle. I can sell this water. I can sell salt to a snail. Like I was that guy. Right. Just running my mouth, sometimes to my detriment. Mm-hmm. And but it was in college that I kind of got a heart for youth. Okay. I was because I went to college late. I went to the military first. Okay. So I went to the military and then went to college. And so when I went into college, and I was one of the older ones in the class, the older ones in the class.
Right, okay, because you hadn't already been.
Right, I've already been through, because you figure not just years in the military, but every year in the military is like dog years. You know what I mean? It's like every year it matures you very quickly. Yeah, and then if you deploy, it definitely will grow you up. Right. And so, I was in college and I'm surrounded by all these like 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds who don't know up from down. Right. Like they just, what's up? College, and then I went to a specialty school, so you haven't even I went to Full Sail University down in Orlando, music and entertainment and film and gaming, and so you got this group of people that are all like creatives, right. And it's an expensive school, so most of them got mom, dad, so they're like completely in this place of like seeing the world in this limited aspect. Right. And from the creative side, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as the more and more I saw them, it was just like, and like we had times they would come to me, ask for advice, and I would talk to them, and then kind of God was working in me at the time because I was coming out of the military and dealing with some things, and it was really building them up, built me up. Right. I got you. And then it was just right. I got fueled from fueling them, and then I started to it was just like the closer I got to God and the closer I got to them, I would just walk through the mall and I would just see young people and be like, like these teenagers, I'd be like, like I see, had pants hanging down or whatever the case was, and I would just, it was just like this compassion for them, like, you're better than this. Right. And then, and then after that, I was like, man, what if I got in maybe Boys and Girls Club or something? And really, Lord lined some things up and was like, And I was doing music too.
Right.
I had a band. I was doing music. It was good.
Right. Your passion. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everything fell apart with the music.
Right.
And it wasn't that he did it to fall. It wasn't that God came and said, all right, I'm snatching this from you, Lord, give it and take it away. No, it was just he allowed me to experience that.
Right.
And it was part of a growing process.
Man, listen, I love that. So let's go down that route, because so many times we think our passion is our purpose.
Yeah.
And it's got to be, especially when you're having an encounter with God.
Yeah.
It's hard to accept that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think I remember you talking
I did the
about
post
that.
about it. Yeah.
I was like, man, can I accept that?
Yeah.
You know? And we have to ask ourselves that, because we might, whatever God wants us to do.
Yeah.
We say that.
Yeah.
Until we find out what we want to do.
Right. Ain't what God wants you to do. Right. Yeah, man. You know, it's very possible that the reason you're hitting this wall is because you are pursuing your passion and not your purpose.
Right.
And what you think is your passion, you think it's your purpose, but it's not.
It's not.
But that doesn't mean that he didn't give you that passion for a reason. It just means that he's going to use it for a certain, like, for example, you know, if you've been given a hammer and a nail, you go start building a house, but he wanted you to build a boat.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. So you were supposed to build something.
You were supposed to build, you were supposed to build something.
Right.
And you are a master craftsman.
Right.
But you're building a house.
Right.
And you think this is what you're supposed to be building. You got the land. You're showing the work. If you build it, they will come, and you're like, Lord, I'm doing my thing. He's like, yes, that's wonderful.
Right.
He said, that's wonderful that you're passionate about this area right here, but I've called you to the ocean.
Right. Right.
I've called you to the seas.
Right.
I've called you to you're gonna really impact this region.
Right.
But I've called you to the world.
To the world, yeah. Be fishers of men.
You know what I'm saying? So so we have to learn to accept that. You know, and what was it, what I say in the post? It was like, you have to learn to accept that you may not be called to what you want to do. And then you have to decide to want what you're called to do. You know what I mean?
Right. Which is the fight. Which is the real fight.
Right. I just finished a documentary on Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a martyr. He rose up. He's a pastor and a martyr who rose up against the Nazi regime. Rose up. He was actually part of a conspirator plot to kill Hitler, which is interesting. Like a pastor plotting to kill. But if you listen to the whole story, it's a whole thing. But one of the things that his big point was, at the end of the day, our life is to literally just lay ourselves bare before God. And just do what we believe, doing what he has called us to do, whatever he tells us to do, and just doing it and trusting that he is going to lead you and guide you. Because at the end of the day, you died when you gave your life to Christ.
Absolutely.
It's not I who live, but Christ who lives in me. That's Christ using your gifts. It's God using your abilities and talents. It's God using these things for his purposes. You know, so.
So you say you the Boys and Girls Club. So for our listeners who maybe don't know what the Boys and Girls Club is, or is not familiar with that organization, kind of tell us what the Boys and Girls Club is and what you guys do. Yeah,
I mean, it's you know, the Boys and Girls Club is to inspire and enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to realize their full potential as productive and responsible and caring citizens. But I mean, you know, it's an organization it's a local community organization. Started off as a boys club back in the '60s, and then it developed in the '90s to boys and girls clubs. It's interesting because it was originally a place where young men went to be developed totally. It's like they had physical fitness, they had education, academics, all that stuff. And now it's kind of become a little different. You know, now it's more, you got these younger children coming in now, and you know, it's the same kind of idea to develop and mentorship and fun. You know, you're doing a combination of both, where like in the old day it was like, you came into, you had fitness, you had this, maybe you had rec, you know, and then you get taught, you know, so and so. And there are parts where we're trying to mold a new face of that, you know, where they're bringing in the fun, relatable kind of just, you know, new culture kind of stuff with that model of academics and fitness and trying to do it all in one. And that's a tough blend. But at the end of the day, if you need a place for your kids to go and be not on the streets, and not be on the street.
Because I was going to ask, is that more like an urban thing? Like when they created it, was it for kids in urban areas to have somewhere to go, or was it something that was just all over? It was for.
No, I mean it was. And mind you, I'm not a Boys and Girls Club historian per se. I mean, I've done some little research because you want to know what you're a part of. But I mean, it was originally, from my understanding, it was a young men's group and organization. And obviously in the 60s, I mean, you're talking about culturally things were a bit different. Culturally things were a bit different, and we were just coming into a new era of things, and so I would imagine that there was probably some separation there, but I think that as time progressed, obviously we moved beyond that, and now the dynamics have now changed, where it used to be like 90% male and Caucasian or whatever, because of culture and capability, and then it has shifted now, open to the urban communities and servicing, so it's shifted now to more urban communities. So now it's like 80% urban communities and people of color and children of color. And it also depends on the demographic of where the club is.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not like people always think, oh yeah, it's racist. No, it's just
predominantly.
If something is in a predominantly black area, you're gonna have predominantly black people. If you have a predominantly white, you're gonna have predominantly white. But that's why kind of this whole sensitivity culture, where it's like, if I go to a club that's in Ponte Vedra, and it's got 90% white kids, and people will come in there and be like, oh, why you don't have no black kids? Because they don't want no black kids. Like, no, there's like 5 black kids that live over there. I mean, typically the clubs and things in general, will reflect the demographic that surrounds it. Typically, now are there extreme cases? Sure, but very few. Typically it's just you're gonna have more of this where this is, and more of this where that is. You can argue, well, why are they more over there? But okay, well,
and usually a company or organization looks at that before they place their establishment in the area anyway. Man, you spoke earlier about media, and I don't know if people understand how powerful the media is. If they know anything about Hitler, how the media was used,
absolutely,
and what he did. Kind of speak to that, and what can we do? Because I'm not a news watcher myself. I'm not a news watcher. At the same time, I think I would be a fool to say you can't get anything from watching the news, right? How do we balance that? Because if you, like I said, media is so deep to understand why the setting is the way it is, why all of this is told to you at 6 p.m.
Right. There's layers. There's a system to it.
There's a system to how they feed you stuff. But how do we get people? Because when I think about my grandparents, that's all they know. Channel 4 and Channel the news said, and this. Like,
let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you what you do. All right. Now this is my secret sauce. Okay. Turn it off.
I mean, you thought it was gonna be deep, man.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, we have to turn off the news and turn on our brains. Open our eyes. Open the Bible. Because I think, I wrote something the other day. I say, we are so shocked, but your Bible is not. The Bible is not shocked. I mean, it's all there, like saying the times we live in, you're going to see X, Y, and Z. So I'm not, and I think that's part of the other reason why, when I told you, when we walked that line and that not being emotional, getting caught up, because the Bible is very clear what we're going to see. So it's like, hey, guess what? It's like a preview to a movie, but they've given you the whole script and the whole scenes. It's like, this is what you're going to see. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. So be aware. And then we turn around like people. I always find it funny when people who were born in the Bible, claim the Bible, supposedly get taught the Bible, are surprised when the Bible plays out right in front of them. But as far as like media and the news, man, we just have to understand that. And I tell my kids this: I teach a media class for teenagers and stuff, and what I tell them is this: MSM, mainstream media, false. mainstream money.
Pause. Right.
The purpose of the media, remember, is yes, they're giving you the news, but their purpose is to make money. They get viewers. They want, and it's even gone beyond money to more power. It's money, it's control. And so understanding that the media is owned by people who have money, and the people with money want to make more money and control people who have money. And so the media is specifically geared and engineered to tell you what they want you to hear. They appeal to their base. And the truth is, and it sucks, because I used to be a journalist. Like, it sucks because I watch some of the media and they will simply tell you stuff that is not true. Like, outright. Like, it used to be where, it would just had a bias. It was like a lean, where you knew, Fox is going to lean to the right. They're going to kind of spin it to where it leans more right. Or CNN's going, spin it to lean a little more left, make it fit. And they would avoid the things that didn't really make them look good. Now, I mean, the big wigs nowadays will literally tell you stuff that is simply not true, straight to your face.
But that's because we eat
because you eat it up. Yeah, you eat it up. It's like, it don't matter what I say. It don't matter if this story is true or not. And the thing about it, remember, it's not about what's true. It's about what you can prove. You can't prove, like they say in court. It's not what's true. It's what you can prove in court. Well, the media use the same concept. It's like, I'm going to say what I need to say in order to get the people. So whether it's true or not is secondary. That's unfortunate, but it's true. And everybody talks about the truth, and we want to stick to fairness and truth. And all the media heads, you could go literally pull up clips. You said yesterday that this was a table.
At the same time on the same clock, you said.
And then today you said it was a chair. And we always stand firm on the facts. Thank you. Welcome to CNN or welcome to Fox, And it's like, at the end of the day, you have to dig and do research for yourself. You have to read for yourself. You have to understand that. And unfortunately, what we're seeing even more is even the outlets of research have begun to doctor and this is not
you can't even trust everything.
And this is not a matter of picking like a political side. This is just an observation. The media has begun to lean certain directions and start to, when they begin to take their platform and start to censor and start to doctor certain things and and it was just like, wow, like that's where we are now, and there's many examples of how the big tech and all that kind of stuff have taken a turn to where now it used to be a neutral platform. But now they've taken a turn to where they've latched on to a certain ideology together. And now they are using the power that they have to limit people's ability to be able to spread information.
It's crazy because when you talk about big tech or the mainstream media, it's almost like, it's not even almost. You even have people that all they do is tune into that stuff, but yet they think for themselves.
Absolutely.
Like they don't even know they're thinking off what they tell you to think. They still think, I come up with my own decisions, and everything you read, every post you like, has steered you to this way or that way.
What is it? Oh man, there's a term for it. It escapes me right now. When you do your research. What is the term, Reese? Anyway, there's a term for when you research certain things. But because of your own personal biases, you naturally you look for things that fit your narrative. I can't remember that. I don't know why it escapes me right now. I was just having this conversation today. But yeah, I mean, people. My father used to always tell me this. He said, "Son, if you don't think for yourself, I guarantee you somebody gonna think for you." And we are living in a culture and a society where we allow the media, social media, and all that stuff to think for us. And I think that's a dangerous place to be in because, and there's so many things that add to it. You go to the school systems. I mean, you're talking about, in many cases, because of all this standardized testing and all these other things, you're teaching kids what to think and not how to think. And so you have these kids who they don't know how to think, and so just whatever you tell them must be it.
Man, and I don't know, is that something I guess I would think that's tough for you and just people in your position, period, because kids are so easily influenced by whatever they get the most, whether it's mother and father, whether it's their phone, whether it's the TV, they are so easily influenced. Is that something that you try to teach? Being detached from so many devices.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like consumption and control and influence and all that stuff, but I think the biggest thing is I tell them, I say, look, my goal here, anytime I teach, is I'm going to give you truth and opportunity. I'm not going to tell you right and wrong. I'm not going to tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you truth and opportunity. And because they're so easily influenced, I can use that to my advantage from a perspective of, I'm not going to take advantage, but I'm going to use that willingness to hear to my advantage. And my goal is, if I can plant the seed of how to think, plant a seed of critical thinking, if I can plant a seed of just challenging that little status quo, that little part of you deep down in your soul that knows it wants truth, that knows that it's seeking something. Your soul knows there's something more, but everything around you tells you to just fall in line.
But so at least plant that
exactly. If I can come in there in that little window and drop a little nugget that makes you go, I never thought about it like that. I didn't know that. That right there, then I've done my job, because now in the midst of that seed can sit there and permeate, and every time they see me, I stay consistent, and I'll be like, hey, whatever. And they're like, that one thing sits in me. Hey, he said this. Hey, man, and hopefully it sparks a conversation. He go to his homeboy or go to his homegirl, whatever. He said, remember when he said that?
You spark their thing.
Right, and then exactly. I want you to think, because all it takes is one. It's like when you're driving down the road and you got this big, beautiful car. All it takes is one little rock to come flying off of that one truck and crack your windshield, and then and it's like your car is ruined. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's the same thing. I don't want to ruin them, but I want to crack their windshield. I want to give them that one little pop. Wake them up like, whoa, what was that? What is that? And they're trying to, and now you have to go replace your windshield. Well, now you have to go rethink your perspective. Exactly. And so, it goes in some ear and some out the other, but if there's one, if just one of them gets it, it only takes one spark to start a fire.
Well, tell me, do you think, because I have this discussion a lot, do you think there's an age that you, as far as, because I 18, the law says you're an adult. The real world says you're still a child, right? Even at 21, you think you're grown.
Shoot, even at 30, you still learning.
You understand what I'm saying? So, do you have like an age where you're like, I don't want to go there, I can't go there? And I ask that because one of the organizations that I kind of deal with, we're always talking about this effect and this effect on who. I'm always for like trying to reestablish the broken man. Right? I'm always trying to help the adults that are falling. Right. But I always get a lot of pushback. No, it's a lot easier to influence the kid. Let's just focus on the kids. Once you get this age, they can't be helped no more. How do you see that? And do you have a limit or a cutoff per se where you're like, I won't be able to reach this guy, or this message won't work to him?
I met a woman in the gym who was 82. I think she was 82. Yeah. In the gym.
Yeah, that's what I said. Wow.
Not just in the gym, just chilling. She's in there putting in work. She's on the ropes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she's in there. I mean, she's not doing it fast, but
she's in there.
Here. Ba-bum, ba-bum. And I overheard her talking to one of the other guys. He was like, man, you're making me look bad in here, Right. And she's like, well, and like she said, I think at 65, she just decided that she didn't want to go out like decrepit and all that kind of stuff. And so she decided little by little, she just started doing exercises and working out and changing at 65. So to me, anybody who says you're too old to change and you can't reach nobody at that age, I would question them. I'd say, well, didn't you change your life at some point? I mean, if we limit people to, well, once you hit 35, ain't nobody. Now, are people stuck in their ways?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
There's certain things that I do that I'll probably do for the rest of my life.
Right.
But it's never too late to change your life.
Absolutely.
You ever heard of, Les Brown?
Yeah, I love Les Brown.
Yeah, Les Brown's my man. I don't know him, but that's my man.
Yeah.
Les Brown sat on his dream for 13 years.
Yeah.
13 years. He was grown. He was grown.
Grown, right.
Super grown when he first started
speaking.
Yeah. And then the
come
Kentucky Fried Chicken dude.
He was 60 plus.
60 plus. But when he decided, you know what? Let me fry this chicken. Let's see what happens.
You're never too old.
You're never too old to change. Never. And the truth is, you're never too old to change, and you're never too young to make change.
Right. That's even, yeah.
Because we often look at these kids and say, y'all too young. Can't tell me nothing. No, I'm gonna tell you, I've seen kids. I've seen kids that are 10 years old.
Right.
That it's just like I'm looking at a little Martin, a little Malcolm, a little.
You can see it in them.
You can see it in them, and they get it. They see it, and they're just like, hey man, come on, bro, you're better than this. Like I've seen it.
Right.
So age, the world has created this idea of age this, age that. You need to be married with kids by 30. You gotta, We have created that. Because scientifically, I think your prime age is like 33, where you're just hitting, your prime.
Right. And we know Christ didn't even.
Yeah, Christ. 30. Exactly. He didn't start his ministry at 30. So, So when people say, is there a certain age cutoff? Honestly, no. People who know me, man, I
speak to anybody.
I talk to anybody. Even whether they, unfortunately, sometimes whether they want it or not, I just have a tendency to just get into that change and motivation and passion and just those things. And I think that anybody, no matter how old you are, can change the world and can change yourself. Because if you can change yourself, you can change the world. So.
Man, I love that, man, and I thank you, man. Tell me, and kind of tell the people, man, what is it, for 2021? What's some of your goals? What's some of the things you're looking to do? You're looking to get into?
Yeah, I mean, 2021 for the people out there. 2021 for me is going to be a period of transition.
Okay.
I've got I'm finishing up. I'm actually in Bible school, so I'll be finishing that up and really stepping into the lane. Because right now, up until this point, I've been preparation. I've been getting the car ready. I've been, building up to it. Now it's time to get on the track.
I got you.
And I think everything to this point has been a preparation for what's next. And I think that, I'm working on like as far as practical, physical things. I'm working on some music projects. I've got a few spoken word videos coming down the pipe. One piece.
And listen, I need to be in that video. I didn't.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna be at this video shoot.
Yeah. I will. I'm gonna be enlisting some folks to come be in the video. I got a couple pieces in particular that are really gonna be cool. This month, my plan is to I'm gonna do a series of spoken word videos.
Okay.
They're gonna be particularly talking about love.
Okay.
Because it's February.
Okay.
But in particular, it's gonna be exploring the different aspects of love, not just like, oh, what light through yonder window breaks. No, it's gonna.
That's all we know. That's all we think love means.
Right. It's rainbows and butterflies, and I'm gonna be talking about different stages of love, from talking about infatuation and the dangers of infatuation, and then get into some other things. Real kind of, but it's open, but it's gonna be artistic, and I'm looking forward to doing that project. And there's a few other things I have coming down the pipe. I'd like to do some more speaking gigs.
Okay.
Getting out and speak. If you know anybody, I would like to get on some college campuses.
Okay, there we go.
You know what I'm saying? So,
you're here to hear.
If you have an organization, whether it be youth or people, or whatever the case is, I would be honored to be able to come and serve you and bring you this message and this idea, because first of all, change does not come from Congress. It comes from community. Change comes right here. If you want to know the key, if you think that the world is so jacked up, the key is looking in the mirror. Because guess what? Believe it or not, the reason we're in the position that we're in is not because of the government. It's not because of anybody else. Remember, it is we the people. Our society is a direct reflection of who we have become as a nation, who we have become as humanity. And so the only people that can change it, obviously outside of with Lord, obviously, but it's us. It's you. It's making the decision that you will not let your fire die. And that's what we are. 2021 is a year of revolution, but not so much, take down the government.
Right.
But it's revolution within. Instead of worrying about breaking down the government, we should worry about breaking down our hearts, breaking the walls that have been built up around our souls, getting back to the Word and getting back to the depths and truth of who we really are. It's like the Lion King. Remember Simba?
You had to go back.
Yeah, you remember Simba was out there running around with a meerkat and a warthog, running around on trees, eating some bugs and stuff.
Kingdom. He had to get into it. Yeah.
And what his father said, he said, remember who you are. We have to get back to the days of understanding that we are made in the image and the likeness of the almighty, all-powerful God. And guess what? He gave us dominion over this land. And it's time for us to start walking in it. So I think that's 2021 is a year of just transition for me and next level and really stepping into the lane.
And let the people know where they can find you, man.
You can find me. You can follow me on Instagram at Reese The Poet. I always forget that when I speak. So at Reese The Poet, follow me on Instagram. You can also find me on YouTube. You can look up Reese The Poet or Reese Speaks. Either one of those will pull up my YouTube. That's pretty much it. I've got those two main platforms that you can follow me and keep up with me.
Well, I appreciate you, brother.
Hey.
I really do. Coming to speak. And keep doing what you're doing, bro. Like I told you when I called in, I said here, when I reached out, it was for that.
Yeah.
In a time like you really was trying to continue to push it, and I know sometimes you're gonna get hit back.
Yeah.
It ain't always gonna be accepted.
Yeah.
But you got to keep going.
Got to. I mean, nobody great ever did anything easy.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing worth having comes easy, and nothing easy is worth having. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's like we have to march.
Yeah.
We have to walk on and move forward and be all that we were supposed to be. So yeah.
And listen, man, I hope you guys got something from this interview. Very impactful. Once again, thank you, Mr. Reese. And listen, we'll be back next week on the Owner's Manual. All right. See you later.